hiring in a world that won't behave. So what is the thought behind it? We have been through a lot of stress. COVID, the war, and what is following on. Not just that, there's AI that is in a bigger war. And so given the challenge that we have now, what is it, how are people, changing their hiring strategies? How are you revising your hiring strategies? The numbers. One is, if you can give, how is it that you're revising your number strategies? And the second is, what qualities are you looking for from the people are you hiring? Are you looking at AI smart, or are you looking at human emotions? So let's, given that it's to be a rapid fire round, let us restrict ourselves to 2 minutes. Yes, over to you, Kavindra.
First of all, it is business as usual, right? We have seen the technological change earlier as well, and at this point in time as well. Okay, I'll try to be. So, uh, primarily, if you look at the sector-wise bifurcation, it depends on the kind of sector what you are into. Like we are a project-based organization, and as and when the project is announced or project is awarded, you have to go in for hiring, and you have a set number of people to be hired, scaled up, scaled down. As and when the project picks the peak, you have to scale it up to the level of 400, 500 people for that particular project, and then you have to scale down as the project goes on till the time you get the new project and things like that. As far as the technological invent is concerned, the way AI is entering, AI to me, it has not been fully integrated into the businesses, and everyone except for some of the Western countries, especially in the IT sector, where AI is getting involved into day-to-day transactional activities. But elsewhere in the business transactions, especially in the engineering sector, it is making its inroads. It is not fully there. The kind of talent what we look at, we, since being in the engineering area or in the construction area, where we what we look at is the technical expertise more. People at the entry level, even at the supervisory level and all, the emotional quotient has to be high because they have to deal with the people, with the masses, because each of the supervisors is managing almost around 20 to 30 odd people under them. And so, as and when the hierarchy grows up. So, the impact of AI in our sector is not that high, but it is making an inroads. The hiring trends are specific to the project, but yes, on a longer run, especially the design part will be impacted. The supervision part will also be impacted to certain extent, and but the quality part, yes, till the time the technology doesn't reach that particular age or state, it will not be impacting much at that. So that's my take on the hiring trends. It is not impacted. Till the time the project is announced, we have to ramp up as per the requirement of the project to deliver it.
So, Animesh, since I wasn't there in this with you all, just tell your sector and how are you impacted?
Yeah, so I'm while you're talking of revising hiring strategy, and that's a broad term which can have various inputs into it. But the reality is, I mean, as someone was saying just before we started, that a lot of talk is about technology. So implicit in that is, I mean, how is one which is technology and the pace of change, how that is impacting hiring strategy, if you ask me. Um, so, as you earlier mentioned, I mean, some of the basics again don't change because depending on the role for which we are hiring. So, we will have relationship managers, we will have product experts, we will have fund managers, we will have people in my team looking after technology, looking after operations, right? There are certain requirements for that role which continue to be there. What has changed is that the pace of change, because of some of the things that are happening in the technology world, uh, people have to come with a slightly different skill set. Okay, one in terms of AI impacting hiring in terms of the quantum. I don't think that impact has yet happened because AI has not been integrated completely. Number one. Number two, actually, initially, till AI starts giving its ROI, you will perhaps have to hire more people. and with a certain skill set. I was talking to founder of a pretty well-regarded wealth tech firm yesterday, and I asked him, as we asked today, anyone we meet, how are you implementing AI and what are the challenges you are facing? Now, he had a very interesting take. He said that because it is not easy for people who are not from technology background, even within technology function, for people to get used to AI will take time. He has an AI champion in each of his function, who's kind of seeing and introducing AI in a particular manner, number one. Number two, something that he has done himself. He says that now I don't ask anybody to make presentations for me. And I use Claude to give an example. And he says now any of the other senior management wants a presentation, I tell them make it yourself. If I can make it, why can't you? Right? So that change will take some time, but you now need people who will learn quickly and who will not just look at their domain, but will always be ready to have some lateral skills that they will get on AI, on technology, or any other related field. So that I think is a change that is happening.
So two parts to your question as I understand. One is how do you deal with the numbers? If numbers are there, and how do you recruit and decide? And what am I looking? I think numbers, I think one of the case point and examples of new numbers is better, because anyway there's a workforce which is your core workforce. It keeps getting replaced. That's fine, part of your P&L. Investments for us go below the line, the year one. And that for us is a very important time to decide how many and when. We get an approval, say 100 people, and that this is a real life, but we release them in tranches in environment as fluid and volatile such as this. And after every quarter, we are tying and integrating it with Salesforce.com, the outcome of it, and B, very importantly, per person, seller, non-seller and ratios, etc. Now, the idea is not to kill the newcomers, but to be able to track and see if this isn't really taking the traction as far as the ROIs were. Next year, these numbers are no more below the line. They are part of your cost. So you rather tread carefully and watch that space and not release entirely. So we've just tightened the approval mechanism. In a workday scenario, for example, there were 2 layers. Now everything would come to at every level to my level, for example, at a regional level. But that's okay. That delay causes caution and probes that are needed. So the numbers are being controlled in a crisis. We believe we are in crisis right now in terms of the geopolitical environment, especially the region I handle. Back to your question, what do? I come from a company which is a chemical company, and I deal with a region which is the most diverse and complex region, which is emerging markets, which is Middle East, Africa, Turkey, Southeast Asia, ANZ, and India. So everything that you can imagine under earth needs both caution and also growth expectations the highest. Americas are all static, Europe's. So there is a lot that rides on these decisions. So that's on the number side. As far as people hiring, we've consciously changed our strategy, and we're looking for failures that they have worked with. So we're looking for scars rather than stars, if you will. And the idea is to see if they can deal with failed projects, what were their own real characters. And we're training hiring managers ongoing there, rather than going on experience, seasonal, and how. So not the past, but the future. And last but not the least, the learning velocity is what we have explicitly called out as one of the competencies we want to sort of work with. So yeah, in a nutshell.
Ashish, from the oil and gas, let's hear your views on this in the oil and gas.
So in terms of core competencies that we seek out has not changed much, because the business has not evolved or has not changed very dramatically. So that continues to remain the same. But having said that, the model in which we hire, or the view in terms of what hirings look like has changed dramatically. So we are not looking at numbers per se. What we are hiring is competencies, and it could be in the form of consulting assignments, it could be projects, it could be part-time, it could be, so what we're basically targeting is what exactly are we getting, rather than looking at what is the sort of headcount, manpower planning, so forth. The second thing that we're actually targeting is essentially resilience and the emotional part that you mentioned, which was perhaps there but not at the forefront. But now that is the most important deciding factor, that how does one deal with challenges, especially in uncertain environments? How does one deal with having different competing goals at the same time? How does one achieve excellence despite not having the resources in place? How does one set its own targets instead of the organization giving those specific targets to achieve? So these things are now becoming more and more important in our ecosystem rather than just looking at the core competencies. Touching upon AI, which you mentioned, to us, and we believe that AI is something that is going to be universal across the organization. So we do not need to have somebody who is an AI specialist or who is going to be the AI driver for the organization. So essentially it will be sort of part and parcel of every job or every role that we do. And therefore to that extent we are encouraging almost every teams and every skills and competencies to identify pockets of opportunities where they can develop. We sponsor programs, we encourage them to take courses so that they can get more and more understanding. But it is not linked to any specific timelines or any specific outcomes. But what we do see is incrementally we are seeing more and more adoption of AI in many areas of the organization, which is quite encouraging. But the idea is to basically use AI within the existing ecosystem rather than thinking that we need to get that competency from outside and then push it in the organization.